What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a new year on the channel. I've made like 3 or 4 intros to this video already, and it feels like 100, but I keep putting off making the videos, and this is my year that I want to come back and actually make good videos, or at least make videos and put them up on a regular schedule, so without getting planting videos in the end of summertime before we start combining. Probably the reason you guys clicked on this video is you saw we had a new piece of equipment. So we bought a sprayer, currently working on it right now. It was nothing brand new. First of all, before I start diving into that, we bought a 3320 Case IH Patriot. It was an 09, had hours on it, came from a southern state, I believe Mississippi. We actually bought it in Ohio, but it was in Mississippi before that. 90-foot booms, 1,000-gallon stainless steel tank. It had 5-way nozzle bodies on it, but we're actually putting single ones on because here in the next couple of years or whatever, when Precision comes out with their Symphony system, there's a pretty good chance we're gonna be putting that on. I wanna have independent nozzle shutoffs and be able to map stuff correctly. I'm gonna show you guys a bunch of video here of us working on this sprayer, but a couple things that we did to it so far is the knee pivots down by the wheels. So you have a pin or a pivot here, and then you have your spring back here. So basically the pivot for the spring, you know, for your ride control. I believe it's called a knee pivot pin. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I'd really like to know the exact name for that. So please do correct me. As you guys will see, we had an extensive time trying to get them out. They are very hard to get out because they freeze into they don't freeze into where the bushings are, and on the sides they freeze into the knee itself. Basically, it took us an hour and some of jackhammering or consistent jackhammering to pound those things out, and it was like watching paint dry, seeing that pin come out. Then finally towards the end, it finally starts pushing through. And lo and behold, the last one that we did, which looked like the one that wasn't in as rough a shape as the rest of them, was the hardest one to get out. So that one took us like an hour and 45 minutes. It actually took us like 3 hours because we gave the jackhammer a break, and you know, we took a break, but kind of feels like we're a pro at getting those pins out now. We came up with some interesting ways to do it. So all of them, we had to do some sort of refabrication inside of the pin or the pinhole or where the bushings go, because it was worn so bad, and whoever had it before us let it go for too long. And when those wheels start turning to the side like this, that's when you know that they're starting to get bad. And some of those pins were worn up into, which you will see here very shortly. Some of those pins were worn way up into those castings, and one of them actually was worn up into where the bolt is to put the cover on to hold the pin in there. That's been the big project right now. I took all the nozzle bodies off. We took the cab roof off and painted it because that was absolutely trashed. It's not a really super clean fix. Maybe here in the next year or so, we might even get a new cab roof for it or try to repaint it, but it looks red and it looks like it's supposed to, you know, be on there, but our paint job didn't really, cure the way we wanted it to, so whatever. We're just trying to get her running right now, or we're trying to get all the main stuff done the right way and get her running and get her ready, because probably be starting to spray here in the next month or two, in the next month and a half or so. At least it'll be out in a field spraying water out of it, trying to get the pumps working, get ourselves acclimated to it. This is gonna be my first time spraying. My dad always sprayed with an old 2290 and then I think he used the 7120 here, like, I think it's been 8 years since he's done it. Well, 2016 was the last year that he sprayed. So we had the we were just getting rid of the 7120 at that point. So yeah, he had an old Demco pull behind sprayer, 60-foot booms, something that I never ran. So we kind of went a little overkill on the sprayer. I know, I'm sure probably some of you are thinking, oh, why did you get that big of a sprayer? Well, I want to have fun. It needed some work, and I wanted to get something somewhat bigger, you know, because the thing will see, you know, a couple thousand acres, you know, how many times we go over stuff. So, and I just kind of like to go and get stuff done. We have 3 people that are usually working mostly full time when it comes time to planting. So we need a guy out doing tillage, picking rock, planting. And now we need a guy spraying. Then we need a guy to run the tender cart. So, and then I got another brother too who's been helping a lot more here lately, and so we'll have 4 people, but he has a full-time job, so we only have him for his 3-day weekend. So yeah, so that's kind of what's been going on here. I'm gonna roll these videos here of us working on the sprayer, and then I'll come back. We're up here working on the sprayer. We've actually been working on it here. We were kind of in the midst of waiting for some parts and stuff, and we're actually on our 2nd pin right now. So getting into that, there are these pins that hold one of the side, or the side of the hub assembly. These pins are bad that are in here. We got quite the setup here to get it out. It's kind of a royal pain to do it, but this isn't as bad as the back ones were, but you can tell that this tire is pitched this way a little bit. So you can see it's starting to get really close to here. So if we let that go any longer, it will rip the tire apart. The other problem that would happen would be it would start wearing out down in here, which it's already starting to wear on this one because this one was really bad, but it starts wearing into the casting itself. So to get this out, we have a engine hoist, and we're holding up a jackhammer, and we'll take and, you know, sit there and hammer on it. The last one we already did the other side. Didn't video that because we wanted to go through one first, and I didn't really feel like editing through our swearing and trying to figure it out. So we decided to do our first one. Now we know what we're tackling. It took about an hour of consistent jackhammering to get this pin out last time. I would say this one would be a little bit worse than the other one, wouldn't you say?
It's very similar.
Yeah.
Very similar.
So, probably wondering why aren't we heating the pin up? Traditional torch won't heat the whole pin up, which is basically what we need. I got the idea of using a magnetic inductor and wrapping a coil around it. So basically that's a thing that you hook up to a 12 amp or 12 volt battery or whatever, and then you hook a coil into it and wrap it around the pin. So say even now, since we got it out a little bit, we could wrap it against that, or wrap it around the coil around this side of the pin and heat it up. It wouldn't just heat this up, it also heat this up, and we don't want to potentially heat this up and lose the temper in it since it's cast. And this would be a bad day if that broke, because it would most likely happen on the road and it would be a screwy deal. So a little bit of manual labor, and thank God we have this and we don't have to sit there and pound it with sledgehammers. That would probably not work very well. A couple other things we're doing to this. We had to paint the roof because the roof was in really rough shape. It's not a perfect job, but it's enough to make it look red. So it didn't really look red. It looked more pink and yellow because it must have sat out in the sun, but I don't understand there versus the roof versus the rest of the paint. The rest of the paint all looks good. There's a little rusting on that hood on the other side down low. Overall, this machine is actually in pretty good condition, hence where it came from. And then there's hoses in areas. Some of that clear hose will eventually get changed here so it doesn't have a yellow tinge to it. And then we gotta fix some of the directionals and everything. I don't know if there's something screwy with the wiring or what it is, but. And then we're putting all new nozzle bodies on here. These had 5-ways on them. We're actually putting a single way. So we're gonna be putting, the nozzle bodies are Wilgers, and then we're also gonna be putting Wilger tips on them. You know, we have what was it, 2-3 different tips for it? It was just 2, right? The Extendamax and then the...
2.
Yeah.
I don't know what the second one is gonna be.
So we won't be doing Enlist this year. We did it last year, but we switched back to Jung's seeds, so a lot of their very good hybrids or varieties, soybean wise, are in Extend Flexes, so we won't be spraying Enlist, so we'll have all Extends this year. Reason we didn't do like a 3-way nozzle body is because we were only going to be having 2 to 3 tips, and it's just about as easy to go up and take one off and put a new one on than it is going and flipping the things. Maybe it's a little faster having to flip them, but it's kind of what we're gonna do, because eventually down the line, once Precision Symphony comes out, this will all change. So, but we are putting Reclaim from Precision on here. We got that ordered, and that's a recirculation from the tank to the booms. We did change the engine oil. We're going to change the hydraulic oil and get everything fresh. All the oils are going to get changed, and along with the hub oils and everything, just to get it onto our service schedule. So these are the 5-way nozzle bodies that I took off, and I think we do have the Wilger. Yeah. So we're just switching back to a single for now. Alright, so we got it out. Here's the old one. You can see that there's a lot of wearing here. And then here's the new one. There's a little difference there. So this here is there's bushings in here that we had to make a tool to pound them in, because you can't pound on the edges with a hammer, otherwise it tapers them in and it'll ruin them. So this is actually, we're going to push the other bushing out right now. So this side actually looks good. You can see there's a groove in there for grease. There's a grease zerk right here. That one, do that again. Stick that thing.
I'm gonna get a tool to clean that out. It's not.
This one is very worn out. So that got worn down into the casting.
Oh, maybe not so much. I don't know. Maybe it's not too bad. Maybe all it requires is that we do the same thing again.
No, that isn't even as bad as the other one was.
Well, it might be worn up top here, though.
Oh yeah, it's worn really bad up there.
Oh, yeah, right here.
Yeah. So the top is worn out really bad. You could tell because that pin was worn out on the top. So you see how this one is here. That's what the other one's supposed to look like. And you can see that it's worn out pretty bad here. So the other one, what we did, it wasn't super bad, is we put JB Weld in there and kind of formed it back up and then put the bushing back around it, but this one is bad. So we're gonna have to figure out what to do with this.
I'm gonna have to weld that one.
So if you didn't hear them, we're gonna have to weld it and grind it out. So
Figure out how to take this part. We're gonna have to take and pull that motor off. There's 2 bolts that hold the motor on.
we gotta remember, because I know from people telling me that that has to go on a certain way. So we're trying to decide whether we're gonna take this motor off and this hub off and take this casting back home, because all of our welding stuff is there, and do it with that setup. So we're gonna try to get this figured out here for this one. The front one shouldn't be worn out like this, so that one should be pretty easy once we get that pin out.
Once we take and we get it on the welding bench, flipped over where it is worn, I'll be able to weld that in with, I don't know if this is a cast steel or if it's cast iron, but we weld it with either the wire welder or nickel rod. But having it on the bench, then you can see, fill all that in, and then do the same thing I did with the JB weld. It's just going to be...
Oh, this is some sort of cast here. This arm here is some sort of cast.
Could
Do
be
you think?
cast steel though.
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh, we gotta figure out whether, I don't know.
But
I can't even fathom why. I mean, you know, from front to back, maybe the motors are a problem, but I can't. A motor is a motor. I'm not seeing it.
And maybe it's up with the hydraulic system itself.
I'll just call them down there.
Okay. I like to ask questions before we rip something apart. I'm not positive on this. This is just something stupid I heard. So we're gonna finish up here for today. I don't know if we're gonna take this off today and bring it back, but everything will be in the next video. So I hope you guys enjoy. Stay tuned for this rest of the sprayer series, or sprayer restoration series. So we got another pin to pound out yet, and then a few other things to do. So stay tuned. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Catch you in the next one.